we bring in a friend who we've known for years and years and years. He's an author, relationship therapist, Dr. R.G. Alan Wilson.
Some expert advice on how we can all talk to them. Joining us now is relationship expert Dr. R.G. Alan Wilson. She's the author of Courageous Conversations Connect. Good morning, R.G.
Doctor, good morning. Thanks so much for joining us.
Good morning, Janelle. It's good to be here. Thanks for having me.
And as we mentioned, a lot of people just dealing with anxiety during all of this. What are your suggestions?
Some of the things that we need to remember is that this is temporary. This is temporary inconvenience for long-term gain. And as long as we stay healthy, Janelle, then everything else is recoverable.
Talk to your children about what's happening right now. What are the best ways to do that?
There's some do's and don'ts, right? So you want to tell them that you're going to be here. We're going to be okay. Kids want to know that they're secure and they're safe. So predictability, structure, and consistency. You also want to let them know you have a plan. And even if you don't have a plan, tell them that you're working on one.
Hey, IG family. Welcome. And good morning. This is Dr. RG here, yours truly, on the 10th day of August 2020. And this is our 21st week in quarantine. And this is Courageous Conversations Connect Space Quarantine Talk. So welcome to the show. Goodness gracious, it's episode 67. Do you all believe it? Oh my gosh. Welcome, crew. Connecting relationships for epic wins. I see China. I see Mama Stokes. Good morning. How is it? Are you still in Martha's Vineyard? Mama Stokes, tell me how things are going there. How's the weather? Are people social distancing? We've got a great lineup for you all this week. And so do me a favor. This is our community give back, Morgan and I. So tag a friend, share this video, go on over to YouTube, the Ask Dr. RG page, AskDrArgie. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit that notification bell. Give us a thumbs up, smash that thumbs up so that helps with the algorithms. And just let other people know. Bring other people onto the platform. This is our crew, connecting relationships for epic wins. Dr. Gail is on. Good morning, Dr. Gail. Welcome to the show. Thank you for joining. We appreciate you. We're going to wait for a few more folks to come on. And in the meantime, while we're waiting for folks to come on, I want you all to think about who you're going to be breathing for. We're going to take a quick break from our sponsors. And as we do that, when we take that break, you guys think about who you're breathing for. And then we'll come right back and we'll get into our breathing exercises. So stay with us. So good morning. This is Dr. RG here from the Courageous Conversations Connect Space Quarantine Talks. And I asked Mama Stokes, how's things going on in Martha's Vineyard? She said she's still there. Weather is really a blessing. There's no social distancing and mask wearing is not what it should be here in my safe bubble. Gotcha. Everybody's kind of in their bubble. I hear you. That's, listen, it's my happy island. I love Martha's Vineyard. I'm very sad that actually we would be there this week if it wasn't for the quarantine. And so I'm sad that we're not there. But at the same time, even on that happy island, as I call it, you still have to be careful. Like you said, Mama Stokes, there's not a whole lot of social distancing and mask wearing. They're saying that they're starting to see more surges in hot spots. And it's not just young people, it's older people. I forget where it was that they had the youngest person die in that city, which was a 7-year-old died from COVID-19. So I keep seeing people say that COVID is real. I saw that on Facebook this morning. COVID is real. And their cousin just died. I'm like, okay, we've been down this road before. This is the same movie that we've been watching over and over and over again. The public health researchers are saying that it's real. People are dying. And although they know a lot more about this novel disease, so therefore their protocols are changing and people are not dying at the higher rates, people still are dying. So take it seriously. Take it seriously, guys. So listen, we got a great lineup for today. All week, we're going to be talking about freedom fighters. What's worth fighting for in the middle of two pandemics? I just had thought over the week about being free and what does that look like, right? And I decided that our crew, we needed to wage a campaign that allowed us to be freedom fighters and think about what we are actually fighting for. And so specifically today, we're going to be talking about family matters, right? And as we go into our breathing exercise, once we get into our conversation, I'm going to share a little bit about some thoughts that I have around family dynamics and how we can be in healthier relationships with our families. Elizabeth's on. Thank you for joining, Elizabeth. Dr. Gail says she is breathing. You're breathing for everyone suffering from COVID-19. Thank you, Dr. Gail. Who are y'all breathing for as we get ready to go into our breathing exercises? We know that people who are experiencing COVID-19 have respiratory distress. That is one of the things that impacts them greatly, even though there are other symptoms that people have, such as diarrhea, symptoms of brain fog, symptoms of breathing. Also, there's some people are saying sometimes their gait is off. People have had like significant migraine headaches. There's a lot of symptoms that people have: blood clots, inflammation, all of things that what happens is this virus enters your body. It's a material strand. And once it finds a host, as Dr. Gail was talking about last week, when it finds a host, then it takes up residence and then your body starts trying to fight it off. But oftentimes people's bodies, their immune systems are not equipped with everything that they need in order to fight this virus off, this little virus that's looking for a host. So it's a problem. Elizabeth says, breathing for my children and all children dealing with anxiety around school. That's still a thing, right? I do think that some of the schools have decided to still continue to do the distance learning, but then there are some other schools that are doing the hybrid learning, right? So hybrid meaning they're going in some days and having social distancing, and then some days not. They're learning from home. We did see that picture in Georgia, I believe, where all the kids were gathered together in the hallway and no one had masks and nobody had social distancing. So it's a problem. So thank you for that, Lizzie. Well, you have Elizabeth here, but we used to call you Lizzie. She's one of my students at Drexel. Good morning, Darlene. Tell me who you're breathing for and with. So today I am breathing for and with all of the essential workers that are still out there fighting this disease called COVID-19, coronavirus. All those essential workers, and you all know who they are. There are many different ones. China says she's breathing for my cousins who clean the hospital rooms after COVID patients are discharged or died. Thank you for that, China. Speaking of essential workers, I think that never before have we realized that there are so many essential workers. China's cousins that are cleaning the room. Think about that. They're going in after someone's been sick or died, and they have to sterilize that room for the next patient that comes in to make sure that they're safe. So it's the postal workers that are still out there, and the bus drivers and the ticket agents and the pharmacists and the grocery store workers, along with the medical professionals and the mental health professionals. Don't forget about us out there that although we may be doing therapy online for some of us, and some of us are going back into our offices, and some of us are still working in hospital settings, providing mental health services, we're all essential workers too. Mama Stokes is breathing for the families of essential workers. How about those families? Because they're wondering, are they going to be safe if their family member that's a doctor or a nurse or a mental health professional or a pharmacist or a grocery store worker, if those people, when they come home, have they contracted the virus, and are they going to be safe, right? So it's really important that, guys, that we don't relax. We said this in the very beginning that this was a marathon, not a sprint. And we said that we were in this for the long haul. But I have found that a lot of people tend not to have that determination and that tenacity and that discipline, quite frankly, to, be in this to win it. What does it mean to win? Breathing is in life and exhaling the negative energy. This is all energy. And so Lisa says, I'm breathing for my teachers, staff, and myself, for we will be reporting to professional development on the 17th. Thank you, Lisa, for that. And we're going to be breathing for all of those persons that are reporting and have to go into work. Darlene says, I'm breathing for all the people in despair. I'm in the office and I'm essential. So everyone that's out there that is really literally putting themselves in harm's way. We had Dr. Tabby on last week, and he out of Georgia. He's working with Florida and Andy Carmona, as well as Ace Thomas on an initiative to take it to the streets and really go out there to make sure that people are getting antibody testing, they're getting information, they're getting other kinds of testing for whatever their issues are. They're getting some assessments, and he's going into those spaces in addition to Dr. Ayla Stanford for the Black Doctors COVID-19 Consortium that is hitting the streets here and has been doing so for this entire journey that we've been on with quarantine and COVID-19. So shout out to her and her crew, and Reverend Marshall Mitchell, who is behind the scenes also making things happen as well. We want to let you all know that we appreciate you. We appreciate all that you're doing. So we're going to get in our postures. We're going to, shake it off. Get your backs really erect. We're going to put our middle finger to our thumb, or one hand over the next hand on your lap or to your sides. And at the sound of my voice, we're going to breathe in 5 times. When we breathe in, we're going to hold it for 8 seconds. 8 seconds to honor George Floyd and his family, where he had a knee on his neck, kneeing the breath out of his body for 8 minutes and 46 seconds. So we honor him, but we're also honoring Breonna Taylor, who still has not received justice because those people who killed her officers are still not brought to justice, and Ahmaud Arbery and Rayshard Brooks. So we're going to be breathing in oxygen and breathing out carbon dioxide, breathing in hope, love, peace, serenity, and calm, breathing out worry, fear, anxiety, frustration, and anger, and resentment. All right? I'm going to count to 3. 1, 2, 3. Breathe in through the nose. And out through the mouth. Breathe in. Out. Breathe in. Out. Breathe in. Out. One last time, make it count, crew. Breathe in. And out. Feel that breath in the body. Feel that belly extended. Feel that good energy coming in, and that oxygen, that carbon dioxide, and the negative energy out. It's all energy, right? Good morning, Charla. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the show. So please make sure that you guys like the page. Go over to the YouTube page, Ask Dr. RG, AskDRARGIE. Invite your friends, share. Thanks for that. Make sure you smash that thumbs button so that we get more algorithms. And remember, we are doing this as our community give back. This is Morgan and I, our way of giving back, even though we are essential workers and I'm doing the work of mental health on a daily basis. I also wanted to give back to those that might not come to therapy, but might want a safe space. This is our crew, connecting relationships for epic wins, creating a safe space for us to have our quarantine talks every Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday at 10 a.m. So let other people know that we're on. So what are we talking about today? We are talking about all week freedom fighters. What does that look like? And I just guess I've been having people on my mind. I've been having John Lewis on my mind. I've been having Martin Luther King on my mind. I've had, Baldwin on my mind. I've just been having Langston Hughes. I've been having these freedom fighters, my Shiro, Harriet Tubman, right? My second Shiro, Dr. Marlene Watson. I call her HT2. I've been having these people on my mind and thinking about our mindset, right? And the first place that we can access freedom, if we're going to be freedom fighters, is where? In our minds. We got to reset our mindset. That's why in this book, Courageous Conversations Connect, that's why the tagline is a pathway to reset your mindset with intentional thoughts from the inside out. Reset your mindset, a pathway to reset your mindset with intentional thoughts from the inside out, because we got to reset. So that's the mind is the only place that you can actually live rent free in this world and not have to pay anything. But in actuality, you do pay something, right? You pay with your heart, you pay with your soul, you pay with your mind, you pay with, in some ways, your freedom, your dignity. You pay with a lot of things if you actually are allowing other people to rent free space in your mind. So when you think about freedom fighters, right? I want each of us to think about all week what's worth fighting for in the midst of two pandemics, because we're all in a fight. Morgan taught me this one day. One day we were talking, he's a consummate sales person. He's been in sales and marketing for his entire life. And I was like, I'm not a salesperson. I don't sell anything. I'm not really good at that. And he said, and I think that his mentor told him, shared this with him, Gene Austin Jefferson, that you are a salesperson, right? You're either selling or being sold, but a sale is happening all the time, right? And so I thought about that as a sort of in some ways, an algorithm for the energy that we're giving off. And the truth is that when we're talking about a fight, usually we're either fighting for something or we're fighting against something. But most of us are in a fight. So why not be freedom fighters? Why not start with freeing our minds first, right? And today we're specifically talking about family matters, right? Within our families, because too often in the midst of these pandemics, what I've been seeing as a relationship and family therapist, you all know that Faith Connects has been committed to healing families one relationship at a time. That's our tagline. And transforming lives, individuals, couples, and corporations one courageous conversation at a time. So what does that look like? What have I been seeing? I've been seeing a lot of stress. I've been seeing a lot of tension. I've been seeing and hearing a lot of resentment flu, if you will, in families. And in our families, don't get it twisted. There is sometimes a fight that's happening. I often ask my families, whether I'm working with kids, whether I'm working with the couples, whether I'm working with a big family of adults, I'm usually asking them, who are you fighting for? What is worth fighting for? And if you're going to do this work, ask yourself the question, are you fighting for it, the relationship, your child, your spouse, your parent, yourself? Are you fighting for it or are you fighting against it? Where is your fight? We did this a couple weeks ago where we used the acronym for fight, and we talked about what is the acronym. And I asked you all to do that again for those of you who didn't do it, and for those of you who need a refresher. I'm going to ask you to think about your fight, especially when it comes to your family, right? And create an acronym that works for you, right? My acronym, the F stood for forgiveness, right? The I stood for innovative, like that I've been innovative more than ever before, but also for my level of integrity. So I believe that forgiveness is key in order for us to actually fight for our families and fight for our relationships. But I also believe that we have to have integrity And then we have to be innovative, think outside the box, especially when we're in quarantine. The G basically for me was for grace and for gratitude, right? How do you have gratitude in the work that you're doing, but do it with a level of grace? And then the H for me was healing. How do I heal myself or work on myself as a wounded healer? And how do I utilize my energy to help other people? So it's the healing process. And then the T was just for tenacious. Like, you really do have to be tenacious these days. You got to be in it to win it. You cannot give up. You cannot let go. You cannot quit, because we are in a fight, right? And so this week, I want each of you to think about, one, this is an assignment. I want you to do it in real time and put it in the chat. What are you fighting for? Or who are you fighting for? And what are you fighting against, right? Because either we're fighting for something or we're fighting against something. So what are you fighting for? Who are you fighting for? And are you fighting against something, right? You could be fighting against voter suppression, for example. You could be fighting against systemic racism. But I want to hone that with relates to your family. Is there something specifically with the parents having difficulty dealing with anxiety of their kids going back to school? Are you fighting for to reduce the anxiety in your family as you think about going back to school? Are you fighting for a specific relationship? And what is the acronym for fight that you will use in order to be a freedom fighter, in order to free yourself, in order to free your mind, body, and spirit? Are you fighting for someone in your own prayers? And we're going to talk about that on Wednesday in terms of our faith. But are you fighting for someone to actually be obedient to the rules and regulations of the land right now with regards to wearing masks? Some people are saying that it's a political right to not wear a mask. I'm thinking to myself, we need to just be fighting for the ability to protect both ourselves and to protect other people. And as you embarked on this journey, I see Mama Stokes, I see Lisa, I see Darlene, Charla, Stephanie's on. Thank you for joining. Tell me what's in your fight. How are you using it? And quite frankly, as I said, with the family dynamics that are happening these days, with people having challenges on a daily basis and communicating with their loved ones, when they're having a difference of opinion, if you will, when they're quite frankly just pissed off because they feel like they've just had enough, right? How do you manage? How are you managing to fight for and with your family members in order to stay in a healthy relationship? Noise. How are you managing to do that? Have you had some challenges? I can tell you, and I said I was going to share a little bit of a story of mine, and I want you to share your story. You know, one of the things that when we embarked on this journey of the quarantine talks, right? That was, 20 something weeks ago. And one of the things I began to do is I began to go deeper in my prayer life. I began to go deeper in my spiritual life. I began to really go deeper in my internal reflections about what it is that I really wanted to accomplish. And one of the things that I really wanted to accomplish is I wanted to begin to fight, or not begin, but continue to fight for my marriage, fight for how I would view my marriage, right? The life partner that God has given me. And I got to tell you, some days it wasn't always so easy. Morgan and I would, have differences of opinion or challenges because we're in this space, this house together. And I had to check myself. I had to check myself and think about, okay, listen, RG, are you fighting for this relationship or are you fighting against it? And what parts of you do you need to check and challenge in order to humble yourself? Praying for a spirit of discernment to help you. Because the truth is, sometimes it's not them. Sometimes it's you. There's a book out there that says it's not them, it's you. I'll find the title, the actual author of the book and put it in the chat. Sometimes we like to project. That is a coping mechanism, quite frankly, you all. When we project, when we deflect, when we blame and shame, those are tactics. Those are coping mechanisms, deflecting and rejecting and blaming and shaming, character assassination. These are all the things I put in the don't list that we sometimes will do because we don't want to own our own stinking thinking, or we don't want to own our own issues in our own relationships. So the best thing sometimes, if you're going to be a freedom fighter, you're going to fight for your family, sometimes you have to start with you. So that's the first thing. In being a freedom fighter, right? What are you fighting for and with in the midst of two pandemics? The first thing is fight for your own mindset, right? Fight for you to free your mind to be open to the things that you're actually doing that are contributing to your family relationships, but also, quite frankly, honest, real talk. What are the things, IG family? What are the things, Facebook family? What are the things, YouTube family, that you are doing that contribute to the conflict, to the discourse? Are you not open to somebody else's opinion? Does it have to be your way or the highway? Does it always have to be that you get what you want, or can you compromise? Are there ways in which you could actually relax to your thoughts? Because sometimes we get into fights because we don't want to give a little, but relationships are about give and take. How have your behaviors impeded or been a contributing factor to the conflict in your marriage, in your relationship with your kids, in your relationship with your families? I think I told you all the story a couple of weeks ago about how, I was a little short tempered with my 85-year-old dad, and I had to step back and say, like, check yourself, RG. Like, he's not doing this on purpose. Like, he sometimes has a little bit of memory loss. He's not doing that on purpose. It's just, it is what it is. As you get older, you have a little bit of an inability to remember everything. And so I had to kind of relax my thoughts about that. So again, share with me, share with the crew, Connecting Relationships for Epic Wins. What, where, what, and why, and for are you fighting? Who is your fight for? And what is the acronym for your fight? I told you mine, right? F is for forgiveness. I is for integrity. G is for gratitude and grace. H is for healing. And T is for being tenacious, having tenacity. We need that more than ever before. I think that we're all in a fight in some way, shape, or form. You all, the reality of it is, and we try not to make this show political, but everybody's got to vote, right? It wasn't that long ago. You all know that it wasn't that long ago where women didn't have the right to vote. It wasn't that long ago where Black people didn't have the right to vote. I think that last week, I think it was last Wednesday or so, that we celebrated the 55th anniversary of the Voters' Right Act, right? Think about that. That wasn't that long ago. Many people on this platform are, in our 50s. So that means that probably when we were born, the people that we were born to did not have the right to vote. Women, men, people who are Black and brown. And so voter suppression is still going on. It is our forefathers that shed blood, sweat, tears, and died for the right for us to vote, so that we actually would have someone in office or people in office in our jurisdictions that are actually creating policies that are for us, to dismantle systemic racism and social injustices and inequities, so that we're not on the margins of these decisions that are being made for us. So because a lot of the decisions and the policies that are being made, that are being created, they're not with Black and brown people in mind. They're not with women in mind. They're not with children in mind. They're not with seniors in mind, right? Because the truth is that if you don't have people that look like you that have a seat at the table, then they're not going to make decisions that are in your best interest. So listen, put in the chat what your fight is for, who you're fighting for, and possibly what you're fighting against. And then also give me the acronym. Tell me your story. We want to hear it when we come back. We're going to take a quick break from our sponsors. We will be right back, so stay with us. Hi, I'm Dr. R.G. Allen Wilson. You may recognize me as a leading relationship expert for TV programs such as CNN, The Today Show, Good Day Philly, Fox 29, Tamron Hall Show, Mel Robbins Show, and local and national radio shows, just to name a few. I want to invite you to a very awesome opportunity that will enhance your life. Having courageous conversations that connect is key for a healthy relationship with ourselves and others. Knowing the right strategies and techniques aren't as simple as we think. There are principles to understanding how we all think and feel. Right now, you can join in my free quarantine talks to learn what others spend thousands of dollars in therapy to know. Each day, while we are in quarantine at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, you can watch, listen, and learn tips that will help you get through this challenging time in our lives. Here's the good news. There is absolutely no cost for you to participate. Tune in on YouTube, Facebook, and the Gram at Ask Dr. RG. I look forward to seeing you join our crew. And that's connecting relationships for epic wins. Have a beautiful day on purpose. From my heart to yours. So I'm back. This is Dr. RG here, and this is Courageous Conversations Connect Space, where we're having our quarantine talks. This is August 10th, believe it or not, 2020. And this is our 21st week in quarantine, episode 67. We are talking about freedom fighters. This is our crew, connecting relationships for epic wins. And the question on the table this week is, what's worth fighting for? If you're going to be in a fight anyway, right? What's worth fighting for in the midst of two pandemics? As I always say, will you come out of this? Because we're going to grow through this, guys. We are, right? Even though it's a marathon and not a sprint, we're going to grow through this. The question is, if you're, and I said from the very beginning, if you're healthy, if we're healthy, if we can do the necessary things to keep ourselves well, then we come out of this. We hope to come out better, not bitter. But that's not just for us individually, that's for our whole family. And so I thought that we would talk about family matters today, right? Tell me if you're willing to be honest. We say truth, trust, and transparency leads to transformational breakthroughs. So if you're willing to be honest, right? Have you found yourself a little more agitated in the quarantine? Have you found yourself fighting against something that you should have been fighting for, and maybe fighting for something that you should have been fighting against? Sometimes we get it twisted, right? And when we're fighting for something that doesn't quite make any sense, like sometimes I see people fighting for the right to not wear a mask. I'm like, that doesn't really make any sense, because we're actually saying that wearing masks will help you and it will help the other person. But in your family dynamic, are there people that are in your family that are a little bit more anxious? I know that when I went out, Morgan and I went out one time to an open air restaurant, and I was a little anxious about that because people weren't wearing masks to my expectation. And we sat down and really talked about my anxiety and my fear. And we talked about what I was most anxious about. Are you sitting down and having these courageous conversations about your fight? Are you being honest? Are you being truthful? Are you being transparent? Are you willing to open up to your partner and say, like, I haven't been the best version of myself? That is true for me at times. Like, I really do have to, Dr. RG, the one that, helps other people, but, you can't help other people if you're not willing to help yourself. I've had to sit down and say, like, I wasn't the best version of myself today. I'm going to have to work on that, and quite frankly, even asking for forgiveness of yourself. Asking for forgiveness of yourself, asking for forgiveness of your actions, asking for forgiveness of whatever you've done that has not been in the best interest of your family. And the reason why I entitled today Family Matters is because one of the things, of course, I've seen is that people have started fighting against each other. I actually said I was going to write a piece that called It's Not Just About the Dishes. Do you know that I have had more conversations in therapy about the dishes than I care to talk about, which is really kind of odd to me because, again, I know that it's not just about the dishes. The parents are arguing with the kids about the dishes, do the dishes. The children are arguing with their siblings because one didn't do the dishes. And I can remember years ago when it was summertime, it wasn't a pandemic, and I did all the dishes for the whole summer. Then when I wanted to give the chore back to my siblings, like for us to split it, they were like, oh, no, that's your job. And I was like, how did that become my job just because I was bored and I wanted to do the dishes for the summer? But it's not just about the dishes. They teach you in therapy as a therapist that your family of origin, our family of origin, our families impact us longer, more deeply, more impactfully, and more frequently than anything else. That is our family of origin. We call it food, right? And if we're not careful, we can find ourselves fighting against one another. We can find ourselves talking at each other. We can find ourselves being extremely resentful of each other because of something, quite frankly, that we didn't even realize was happening, that we were actually starting to fight against the very thing that we actually were supposed to be fighting for, right? And so if you're in a fight, and many of us are, and I want you to think about it from that perspective, then how do you use that to your advantage? How do you use it to your advantage to be in a fight so that you're not developing a resentment flu? I tend to ask myself sometimes, even when it comes to Morgan, oh, Morgan's there. I didn't even see you. I was looking down, babe. I tend to ask myself regarding you sometimes, babe, if we're in a little bit of a fight or little discourse, I ask myself, how much does this matter? This is a little exercise that I do with myself. I say, like, if this was the last day on earth, would this matter, whatever it is that we're disagreeing about? And what I want to spend this last 24 hours talking about that. To me, that's then a reality check, because now I'm like, it doesn't really matter that much. What really matters is that we move forward with our hopes, wishes, and dreams and the things that we said. And just like you said last night after we hung out with our grandson, you said something just before you fell asleep again on the patio. And by the way, I took pictures of you. I took some more pictures of you sleep on the patio. I just didn't post them. And you were like, babe, isn't it great to have a life partner? And I was like, yeah, babe, it is. So I don't know. What's your thoughts about your fight?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I'm a little upset with the crew. I mean, you put the call out several times and nobody put their fight up. Come on, guys. Come on, crew. This is for you. We need you guys to participate. Get engaged. What's the fight? You put the call out. Type in your fight. It's important. All right. It's very important that we engage and we put it out there. I think that that's a real important piece. You understand? Like RG said, we're all in a fight. We're all fighting for something. And we have to really process that to be strong. Or what I always say, we want to make sure we're fit for the fight. Fit for the fight. That's key. Where's my fight? F for me stands for fearlessness. Okay. I, intensity. G is for grit. H is staying healthy. RG, you mute yourself. You muted yourself. You mute.
That's for sure.
There you go. Say again.
I said you're definitely intense. That's for sure.
So intensity, grit or grittiness, whatever you want to call that, and T. I was tossed between truth or transparency. I don't know. It's either one, truth or transparency for me. You know.
Okay.
That's what my fight is.
What's the H?
Oh, health. H is health. Yeah.
Health. Okay. Gotcha.
Health.
Right.
Yeah. So let's see. Anybody putting up their fight? Let's see here. Because you put the call out and nobody responded. So
Dr. Gail said something. So
okay, Darlene says she's working on it. What's Gail said? What's Dr. Gail said?
Dr. Gail says, I was told by a college advisor once that my career training should be in politics. I wasn't interested in politics. However, I took a stand against the current administration early in 2016. I've been fighting ever since by voicing my opinions, being proactive for change. Early, I was afraid about where the country is headed. I still do. My concerns about Russian interference in the U.S. election process, destruction to the Constitution of the U.S. and our democracy and racial. Hold on a second. Let's see if it.
Racial and cultural. Let's see. I don't know. Let's see what she's trying to say here. Hold on a minute. Hold on.
It cut off when it got to racial.
It cut off. It cut off. Yeah, for some reason, Dr. Gail, it cut off on it. So if you want to add on to that, or maybe you only can type in so many characters. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But Dr. Gail tends
racial
to write
inequities probably.
Tends to write a paper on here.
That's Dr. Gail for you. She's a brilliant scholar. So listen, so I like yours, Morgan. I like and I like what Dr. Gail said as well, because sometimes we're afraid to stand up for something. Right. But I think that if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. And I also believe that we will find ourselves sometimes. This is why I wrote Courageous Conversations Connect, because I think that sometimes we think that if we have these courageous conversations, it will disconnect us. But I think that once we show our courage to stand up, to speak up, to show up, I think in those courageous acts, it encourages other people to do the same. And whether that's in our macro systems, like in the world, or in this whole voting situation, or whether it's in our micro systems, in our homes, in our families, we do have to speak truth to power in order to move the needle forward.
Well, I think one of the problems that people face is that it's vulnerability. It's fear and vulnerability, like we always say, fear and faith can't reside in the same space, And so if you're going to be transparent, you open yourself up for critique, criticism, judgment, all those things are what you're opening yourself up for. But the fact of the matter is, you got to live your truth. And nobody can cause me to go to a heaven or hell. I'm responsible for me and my relationship with my God. And that's all that matters to me. So if I'm not truthful to myself, that I can't even begin to have an honest and courageous conversation with somebody else.
Did you say that? Because that's true. That I think that we tend not to be honest with ourselves. Sometimes we don't. That movie, A Few Good Men, I think it was, Tom Cruise, where they said, like, you can't handle the truth.
Oh, yeah.
And I always remember that particular statement, because I think that oftentimes that's part of the reason why we lie to ourselves, why we lie to other people, why we don't speak up. Even this whole situation about quarantine and the mask and social distancing, people don't want to really speak truth to power, so they tend to silence themselves, and they end up being in a fight against themselves versus other people.
Yeah, Dr. Gail, so I think she finished that last part.
Okay, so cultural and racial unrest, conflict and indifference, destruction of poor people, and the current incumbent leadership. My concerns are ongoing, and the fight continues. So although the advisor suggests politics as a career, I did not, and I am pleased of my career. Now I'm deeply concerned about our political system. Yeah, Dr. Gail, I am too. We are too. And, as John Lewis said, we need to get in good trouble, necessary trouble. He also said that, voting is one of the most courageous things that we can do for our democracy. I think that too often we have taken on sort of a pessimistic, apathetic approach, and we got to stay in the fight. But if you don't practice it, right, if you don't continue to exercise staying in the fight, then sometimes we'll just check out. We'll check out of it. We'll move away from it, and we'll sort of give up. And I think that to a certain degree, many people,
even in the midst of this quarantine, have sort of checked out because they're tired. They got quarantined.
Can I just? You keep saying we're not in the quarantine. We're not still in quarantine. You say that, and I'm listening to you. We're not really quarantining. That's not really where we are right now. No, you're quarantining still, but the world is out and about still doing this.
In my mind,
out of a quarantine for a while now. And I've been meaning to say that to you. You continue to say we're in a quarantine, but that's not really where we are.
In my mind, we are.
But they're not, that's not the fact. That's why you're frustrated, because you think quarantine, but the world's not quarantining right now. We're still out and about. They haven't reinstituted the quarantine factor yet. So I know our program is called Quarantine Talks, but that's not really where we are.
Well, if people keep doing what they're doing, then we're going to be back in a quarantine. How about that?
That is correct.
So we still have to social distance. We still need to wear a mask. We still need to kind of be mindful about washing our hands. None of those things have gotten relaxed, right? We still need to do our due diligence. And that's how we actually move to a place of this being over. But I don't know, in the world, Deborah said, I'm with Dr. Archie. In my head.
Well, let me pose this question to the crew. So question. Crew, should we have, as a country, really stuck to a quarantine for longer? And do you think we need to actually go back to a quarantine? That's a two-part question. Should we have stuck with the quarantine longer, which would have put us in a better position now? And also, do you think we should go back to a quarantine for the next 30 or 60 days to kind of give us a reboot on trying to really quell this whole COVID-19 virus? That's a question for you guys. So you type in if you think. So Deborah says yes and yes.
Yes and yes.
Yes.
Yes and yes.
I think we all know that leadership is important, and so we don't want to get too political. But the bottom line is, if leadership is not really giving you the correct information and being honest about it, it's hard to get the country to follow suit and to listen to our scientists. I mean, our medical professionals and those out there have been telling us for a long time, you got to take the bitter pill and take your medicine. And we should have taken our medicine a lot earlier. That would have put us in a better situation in the present day. Because I just really, if baseball and basketball and football can't figure out all their billions and billions of dollars to keep COVID from infiltrating and dealing with them, how in the world are we going to be able to keep our schools safe? Every time you hear about the school opening up and going back in, first day, everybody's coming down again, all these new, people testing for COVID. It's just, and next thing you know, you got to shut it all down or go back to somewhat of a more intense hybrid learning situation. It is what it is. This disease is no respecter of persons. It doesn't matter or don't care. If you're not disciplining yourself and or your people, your surroundings, whatever case may be, it's going to hit you and hit you hard. And unfortunately, we don't know who is more susceptible to the virus and who's less susceptible to the virus. Some people don't get it at all. I mean, we've been hearing talk now that there's a doctor came on this weekend and was saying something that, there's a certain percentage of society that's already has some level of immunity to it. That, remember, I came on earlier talking about herd immunity. Well, it's the COVID-19 virus is somewhat of a hybrid of the regular cold, whatever.
Well, it's mutation.
Say again?
It's being mutated. So different strands.
Mm-hmm. So, many of us already have, and for whatever reason, we've had colds and viruses and stuff before. And when the COVID-19 hits our system sort of kicks in and have these antibodies or fights it off quicker. So some of us have that mechanism happening already, which is why we either don't get it and become asymptomatic, or we have a low level or low grade of it, and kind of get over it quickly. you know, and then for some of us in society, we just don't. So, but you don't know that. There's nothing to really, there's no test just yet to try to determine where you are and where you fit on that spectrum. So I don't know. We just,
I mean, babe, the thing that I just thought about that you said with regards to like the herd immunity and some people already having immunity to this, I think has implications and speaks to our emotional immunity as well, right? So as a therapist, I think about like, are we prepared for?
Wait a minute, you said emotional immunity?
Yes.
So kind of expound on that a little bit more. What's emotional immunity?
It means that their life's full of twists and turns and ups and downs and in betweens, right? Mm-hmm. And I always say the extent to a healthy relationship is not how well you do when things are good, but how well you do when things are bad. And why it is that I think that the emotional immunity is helpful is just like you build your immune system up to fight a virus that would come into your body and prepare your body for that warfare, if you will. We have to do the same thing emotionally in our relationships. We have to have the conversation, the communication. We have to be able to talk about the hard stuff. We have to be able to be open and honest and truthful and transparent. We have to hold each other accountable, and we have to be able to sort of connect with our emotions so that when we do experience various emotions due to trials and tribulations, that we don't get knocked off our square because we're so sad or because we're so angry or because we're so resentful. All of those emotions, you know that children probably do better with their emotions than adults because adults do two emotions, mad and sad. And because we don't want to feel sad and vulnerable, we just go to mad.
So you mean tougher skin, emotionally built up a tougher skin. You mean
that?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. It's called like building up your emotional strength muscles.
Got it.
There's a part in the book that I talk about and it's not denying your emotions. It's not suppressing your emotions. It's not even not dealing with your emotions. It's actually making friends with your emotions. So when they pop up or they well up inside of you, you're like, oh, okay, I know where this is coming from. I know where this resentment is coming from. I know where this depression is coming from. Michelle Obama talked about low-grade depression, right? This past week in her podcast. And she was saying because of all that was going on in the world. So you had 3 women last week, that actually had some trending. You had Michelle Obama, her low-grade depression, and she's got the book Becoming, and she's being honest and transparent. You had Cardi B, with her new album in terms of her sexual freedom. And then you had, what's the other one?
She was with Megan Stallion. Cardi B and Megan Stallion had that video that went viral, and everybody's talking about, is it freedom or is it setting back women's, rights, women's, what do you
freedom.
Call it?
Right,
freedom.
Their sexual rights. But also Beyonce and Black is King. So there were 3 Black women that had very different perspectives on things last week. And one of the things that hit me was whatever your thoughts about those 3 women are, they're actually being true to themselves.
Right.
And we're
not a monolith. We don't all think the same exact way. You have to give room and space for diversity of thought, and opinion, and there's no right or wrong way to do it. You just go through it and you learn through it and you give people the space to express themselves, however inarticulate it may be, however it may not appeal to your style or taste. You have to be open for it, and then have the intellectual or the dialogue of truth and trusting in that, and then take your steps from there. But we sometimes are caught up in this what a quote unquote cancel culture. And you want to cancel everybody because their thought or opinion is against you. I'm not saying, you may not, you don't have to agree with me, but, I have the right to express my opinion. I have the right to share with you in this forum in this country that we have democracy. We have the Constitution to be able to express ourselves. So we have some thoughts. Some people are writing some comments. Let's see. Deborah says what?
So Deborah says not only leadership, people are more concerned with doing what they want to do and their so-called rights. Agreed, Deborah. Charlotte says yes, because people are doing what they want. I celebrate my birthday and I was nervous about doing it outside. I hear you, Charlotte. I'm very nervous about that too. Dr. Gale says I think if there was a shutdown for 30 days beyond the incubation period of the organism's development and acquired symptoms surfacing within the host, we could control it, probably slow it down while vaccine continues to be studied. Absolutely. Agreed. And Darlene says feeling issues, God.
Yay, Darlene, put a fight up. Yay, somebody put the fight up, Darlene.
Okay, that's what it is, the fight. Feeling issues God has taught. Gotcha. Love it. I love that, Darlene. Thank you for sharing what your acronym for FIGHT is. And for all of you, for all of us in the crew, and Morgan included, babe, can you share, like, what are you fighting for? Not just your acronym, but what specifically in our family are you fighting for? And what are you fighting against? If you can share, if you think.
Fighting for and fighting against specifically in our family. Let's see. I'm fighting for peace in our family. Fighting for peace in our family. We sometimes have been struggling in our family for various reasons, here or there. And this pandemic and this the intersectionality between COVID-19 and systemic racism, a lot of things have pushed for, have come out, I should say. And so I'm fighting for peace, And I think actually it's I don't want to mean to, say the wrong thing or whatever, or act like it's upheaval, but I want to make more like maintain the peace. Let me put it like that. Maintain the peace. Fighting against in our family. And I think about that. I don't know if I'm fighting against anything. It's more about fighting for,
Okay.
And I think actually, I think our family's done pretty well, actually. We communicate on a regular basis. Certainly the interjection of the love, the bundle of love of Jace came on board right in the middle of the day of, or day right in the midst of of quarantine and the pandemic. I mean, March 18th was a glorious day. He was born, and so he'll be 5 months old in a few more days, and 8 more days he'll be 5 years old. 5 months old, not 5 years.
It feels like 5 years, right?
5 months old, and he's just been a bundle of joy to the family, and just injected, some serious love and purpose. So another thing I'm fighting. I'm fighting for continual purpose in our family.
Purpose.
I can unpack that a little bit more. I mean, in terms of what we're doing, our mission with Connections Matter and Faith Connects. We have a mission, and we're trying to strive for and push for better mental health for the world, for the globe. So we have a global mission as a business and as a team, as a unit, far as you and I are concerned, and what we're trying to fight for. And so that's really it. That's what we're fighting for. That's what I'm fighting for. That's my focus. Staying on course and doing good things and putting out good content that's going to serve us and help us get through from our in reference to our relationships. I think that's what our purpose is for. My purpose is for. I have so let's see what happens. Everybody's got some stuff.
Darlene says she's fighting for consistency and healing.
Very good.
Mama Stokes, Nicole says she's fighting for mental wellness, fighting against systemic racism, academic disparities. Awesome. And then the family for me is our community.
Very good.
Right, our family. And Dr. Gale says, I agree that the COVID organism is mutating and replicating quickly, which complicates the development of antibodies and the other medication remedies to combat it. Slowing it down and controlling it inhibits the mutation. I think that it's clear that it is mutating because of how unpredictable it is. It is evolving, and scientists need to get ahead of the solution to stop it.
And she says, both of us are amazing. Excellent.
Thank you, Dr. Gail.
Yeah.
Thank you very, very much.
So
and we thank you for all your contributions all the time.
Yeah, thank
Dr.
you for
Gail
your
is always a very good quality contributor to the show.
Yes,
Thank you, Dr.
absolutely.
Gail.
I would say that I am fighting in our family, babe. I'm fighting for me being open. Like I'm fighting to be more open because I'm not an entrepreneur like that heart really. Like I grew up in academia and there is a structure to that and a system. And so Morgan has been helping me to be more open to this idea of being an entrepreneur and all that has to offer to our family. But more importantly, I am fighting to be open to my husband, Morgan, who is also my business partner, being a leader in our family. So y'all know, in transparency, I was a single woman for many, many years. And so I was the leader in my own little entity, me and God. And then when Morgan came along, I had to be more open to that idea. And it's taken a while for me to kind of, really
You're tough nut
digest that.
You're a tough nut to crack.
Hey, I know, but
it's all good.
I feel like I'm getting better at it, right?
Listen,
I think I'm getting better.
You are, babe. You are. You're getting better.
And I think that this quarantine,
you're doing a fantastic job. Fantastic job. You're doing a fantastic job. We're growing and we're seeing progress, and it's all good. It's all good. It's all good. So
and then when I'm fighting
I'm a happy
again,
husband. I'm a happy husband, and being in your life and making you a happy wife is my goal, my mission. I'm trying to do a good job of that.
You're doing an excellent job, babe.
And so that's it. That's it. So
somebody said, oh, just one other thing I wanted to say. Somebody said, and I know we're a little over, when we did the book launch, I think it was a friend of ours' daughter, and they were like, "Are they really that happy?" You remember?
Yeah, I remember that.
And I laughed at that.
It's what you make it. Listen, if I want to, I'm not gonna. I refuse, and I tell you all the time, it's a choice. We all have a choice to either think about life glass half full, glass half empty. Basic stuff. Just keep it simple, folks.
That's right.
People just really make life.
You can focus on what you do have or what you don't have.
Yeah, so I choose to be on the positive side of the ledger. I choose to be happy. I choose to think different. I choose to be thankful, humble, and grateful for what I have. That's what I choose to be. You can't live life if you expect to have prosperity, growth, opportunity, those kind of things. Listen, see behind me I had this behind me, and I put this up in 2019, 13 success principles, and all these things. I just speak positive things into my life. That's just who I am. And I try to share with you. We had those long days. I said, listen, take the moment you can.
Yeah, the win.
Somebody said celebrate the micro wins, and not be so focused on the macro, because you can the macros are is wide swaths of gaps sometimes, and you're chasing the macro. But got a whole ton of things to celebrate and to be happy about on the micro. Those things help you build towards the macro celebrations. So I choose to really celebrate and hype and get excited about those micro mini wins day by day, moment by moment. That's helped me get through, this whole pandemic, this whole thing. That's how I operate, and that's what I try to share with you.
You taught me a whole lot. You taught me a whole lot about that, and I'm grateful. I'm grateful that I think we're doing good. I think we're doing good as for our family. Dr. Gail said it's amazing what can happen in a relationship when choices are made for growth and positive development. Absolutely. It's about choice. So listen, thank you all. Everybody. Darlene has been on. Dr. Gail, thank you for your participation. Make sure that you breathe throughout the day. Make sure you think about who you're fighting for and who you're fighting with. Make sure that you take on the responsibility of yourself, having whatever courageous conversations you need to have for yourself. And remember, the best is yet to come. So we, as long as we grow through this, we can accomplish anything, even if this is difficult right now. If you guys are looking for a therapist or you're looking for someone to help you coach you through this process beyond quarantine talks, you can reach me at 215-789-6999 or contact us at Connections Matter LLC. And also, if you're looking to purchase the book, you can purchase it at drrgconnects.com. All right, guys, that's all we got right now. So thank you so much for joining us. Have a beautiful day on purpose, from our heart to yours.